The season for a fresh cut is finally here with the sponsor of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their 5th generation performance package with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. If you want the best stocking stuffer, go to manscaped.com. Use the code Chael. That's going to save you 20% and get you free shipping. Manscaped is a one-stop shop for all of your holiday needs. Guys, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra makes the perfect gift. Featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, guys, this is the crown jewel of holiday gifts. This electric razor's advanced skin-safe technology is a lifesaver, and it helps reduce nicks and cuts. And the fun doesn't stop there. Snag Manscaped's Beard Hedger Pro Kit and Handyman Electric Face Shaver, or grab the Weed Whacker 2.0 Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer. For our less hairy guys, pick up their new Shears 3.0 Nail Grooming Kit, or Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. They have got all men covered this holiday season. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Chael when you go to manscaped.com, or just click on the link below. Glover Teixeira came out. He did an interview. He was talking about Alex Pereira, and I really can't express to you how helpful Glover has been in Alex's career. Glover did not help himself in his career. He didn't understand how to work with the media. He didn't understand the importance of that. He didn't understand clicks and watch times and views. He just didn't get it. He was a competitor. He was a damn good one. But that aspect of it, and understand you got a business around a sport. You could be so good at your sport. If you're not good for business, you don't get the opportunity, right? I mean, it's one of these things. I'm citing what is so blatantly obvious, but a lot of guys don't know it. They never learned it. And when I say Glover wasn't helpful towards himself, I'm not knocking Glover. I'm sharing that that's not a piece that he sets out strategically to do. So even when he's been great for Alex, he didn't mean to be. He was just setting out. He was just being Glover. He's just like a really nice, intelligent guy who cares about the competitive side of the sport. But everything that Glover ever says for Alex, it is so helpful, right? I mean, this guy comes over from kickboxing. That never works. Never. It's worked one time ever. It was a guy named Israel Adesanya. So, I mean, at the point when Alex comes over, this doesn't work. He's an undercard. You can't say his name, Alex Pereira. It didn't matter what his name is, right? It simply doesn't matter. And then they call him something that looks like Potato, but Potato's a really weird nickname. And then you find out it's not Potato. It just looks like Potato. It's Patan. And it comes back to it doesn't matter. He's an undercard fighting a guy with an equally obscure name. But Glover Teixeira wouldn't let it go. And Glover was the reigning champion of the world. And Glover was telling people, that's the guy. This guy's the best striker we've got. He's damn good on the ground, and that's what you don't know. Like, Glover was putting these things out that made anybody that wanted to dismiss Alex Potato Pereira, you couldn't quite do it. You can't do that when the world champion is vouching for him. You just can't. There's just a thing. Even if he's 2-0, even if he's 3-0, even if he's 4-0, you can't dismiss him. When the reigning champion of the world tells you, don't dismiss him. So, turns out Alex is good as Glover said. We see him on the ground. It turned out he could handle himself down there. And contrary to popular belief that thinks you have to be able to execute a go-go plata in live competition for you to be good on the ground, no, you don't. If you can get up off the ground, it's bad. Like, nobody's submitting anybody. That's fake. That's fake. You haven't seen 10 submissions in your whole life. If you've watched since 1993, you have not seen 10 submissions in your whole life. You see guys who are ready to be done with the fight, and they do what looks like a submission, and they surrender. And I'm only bringing that to you because if you're coming in to fight and you want to go spend your time on the ground, you're wasting time. If you're chalking that up to cardio, hey, I'm getting a workout. If you're chalking up to that, good for you. If you're chalking up to I could actually use this in competition, you're wasting your time. And before we get into a debate back and forth on that, you could be an excellent ground fighter by MMA terms, an excellent ground fighter if you can just get off the bottom. You never not only need to submit anybody, you don't need to try to submit anybody, ever. If you can get an underhook, get your opposite hip down, keep your head in good position so you don't get guillotined on your way up, and stand up. So you start to see that Pereira has a very different skill set, and it looks rough. It looks rough around the edges. But then when he becomes a world champion and then a multiple-time world champion, the guy's won two. Are you aware that Alex Pereira was the world champion at 185 pounds this year, 2023? And he's the world champion at 205 pounds this year. He is fighter of the year. The end. The end. A hard and fast and full stop. I do not believe he's going to win the award for fighter of the year. And one of the reasons he won't win the award is he looks rough. When you watch him, there's things there that you don't see other guys do. It is very clear he's not a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but there's another way. You don't ever have to know anything that you hear and you're constantly purported to you about groundwork. You don't have to know a half guard. You don't have to know mount escapes. You don't have to know any submissions. You don't have to know the rubber this or the traditional that. You don't have to know any of that stuff. None of it. It's all meant defensively. Everything you see somebody doing from their back, that's for if you get put in the worst position you could possibly be in a fight, which is a very realistic thing that you should prepare for, right? I mean, that's Bruce Lee 101, expect the unexpected. So if you get put in the worst position, which is designed to be a defensive position, and you get up, so you're no longer in that position, right? It's one of these interesting spots. Well, just how good is he at getting up? Just how good is he at defending submissions? You're not in a good spot down there. But he seems to have found a way, and Glover Teixeira is the first to tell us that he has a way. So, I bring it to you because Glover has a new claim. Glover, who has not tried to hype this guy once, as helpful of a hype man as Glover is, we don't have a fighter that has a hype man right now that's as good as Glover is at hyping Pereira, and Glover's never set out to do it. Never. He's just a really honest, friendly guy. If you ask Glover for comment, he will give you comment because he's a nice guy. But you have to understand this. You have to understand where somebody else might come out with a claim to get an opportunity. Get one big fight, you get a cash grab, maybe get a sponsor, you're off, you're done, and then you go find the next boy band that you can build up. Because you don't have an actual talent that can keep it. Glover doesn't do that. He didn't do that stuff for himself. He's not doing that intentionally for Pereira. Glover's just telling you straight what he sees privately in the gym, what he feels privately in the gym. And he has not lied to you once. He hasn't even been wrong. Right? Saying something that isn't accurate isn't always a lie. Sometimes you're just wrong. Glover's been neither, and he's out with a new claim. His claim is that Alex Pereira could get up to 246 pounds. That is a very random number, 246. It's a very specific number, but that's also a very random number. And be the heavyweight champion. And as soon as Glover said it, it was one of those things where I hadn't had the thought. I haven't brought this to you guys. Alex has demonstrated that he's very big. He's clearly very tall. He's demonstrated that he can change weight classes rapidly. And put this in perspective, all right? Alex Pereira this year, when he was 185-pound champion, was weighing in at 185 pounds. In the same year, he weighed in 20 pounds heavier. Jon Jones weighed 228 pounds when he's just out walking around before he would cut down to 205. And this is with the help of the picograms. When the picograms left, he got a little smart, but he's 228 pounds. Can we just agree on that number? He took 3 years off and did not get to 248. So Jon Jones, who's believed to be amongst the great fighters ever, not named George or Khabib, took 3 years and didn't go up 20 pounds. Pereira did it in about 2 months with no complaints. No story, no time off, no Instagrams of lifting barbells. So the idea that he would do it again, right? I mean, nothing would disqualify him from being given the right. It's a very wild claim that he could be a 3-division champion. That has never happened. There has never been anybody that has realistically even pursued that. There's been nobody that's realistically pursued that aside from saying the words. I mean, even Henry Cejudo, who I think is the greatest combat athlete ever. I really do. But even Henry Cejudo, who's the one guy that quite possibly could have done it, did not go up to 145 and start going through the gauntlet trying to work himself to change. They were words. So now that Glover has brought it to our attention that Pereira could go up to 246 pounds, it does start to make you wonder just how good is he on the ground. He's clearly not a black belt. But why would you need to be? What is it that Jon Jones has ever done on the ground that has shown you how important having a guard is? So it becomes very interesting. And it's got me thinking about it. And I want to see it. I want to see it. And I don't want him to take the time off. I don't want him to take the 2 years off and go fill up on creatine and protein like a weirdo. I want to see him just go into the weight class, sign the contract, and go into the weight class. That's what I want to see. Now, I don't need to get everything, but I'm sharing for you if anybody was going to do everything, if anyone was just going to give it to you with no excuses, no time off, none of this BS that we've seen before, it would be Alex Pereira. And to imagine what he could do from a power standpoint at heavyweight, I think it's a very exciting proposition. Glover has not misled us one single time as it pertains to his student, not once. He's never said anything for hype. I think that includes this. 246 is a very weird number. I think that Glover has reason to say 246. I'd like to see him at heavyweight, and I haven't seen anything yet that would make me certain that he couldn't be champion.